right. Awesome. So I guess your question, and basically the question is, am I running my business efficiently? Any additional context you want to add to that question before we get into it?
So I feel like I have the pieces in place that I need as far as I have an office assistant. She works remotely. She helps book everything. I also have a estimator down in my lower territory. We were doing really well. Well, this year has just been very slow. I don't know what's going on. It's just really slow. But things that seem to have starting to pick up. I have a few projects going on next week. But my thing is when it comes to I figured out my cash flow because I've started to take deposits as you spoke about last time at conference. So that definitely has helped us out tremendously when it comes to cash flow. But I still feel like I guess it just being slow as it is right now. I feel like me trying to build up my savings. I have a what's it called a line of credit. I do have a line of credit with American Express, and I've used it. I've already almost I think I'm pretty much almost paid it off by at this point. But I just feel like there's other ways that I could be more profitable. I know that we have specials going on right now, different deals promotions that we have running, but I still feel like there's other ways that I could be a little bit more profitable. And other than obviously raising my price a little bit, I'm trying to catch that good median until I get to that point. That's when I want to, like you said, raise my price. So
Cool. No, great. I appreciate that context. And just to make sure I have some additional context here, it looks like you've done about 600K last 12 months.
right.
Gross profit's about 40%. And then your gross profit to customer acquisition cost ratio is 3 to 1. So that's leaving about a 6% cash flow to owner at this point. Like you said, the cash flow is a bit better now, but
Mhm.
it's still, the profitability is still has
Low.
room for improvement for sure.
Right.
I would like to see you closer to 25% discretionary earnings. So to get you from 6 to 25%. And so the main way to do that, and you've already alluded to it, is to improve your gross profit slash pricing to get your GP, gross profit to CAC ratio, to 4 to 1 instead of 3 to 1. Because 3 to 1 is the bare minimum for a painting business that doesn't have franchise fees, which you have. So at being a franchisee, you have those additional 7% or so. So the minimum for you would be like 3.5 to 4% GP to CAC ratio. And again, that's the comparison of gross profit compared to your marketing and sales together. So
Gotcha.
the main takeaway to what we need to do is improve that gross profit. Right now we're at 40%. We really need to get it closer to 55%, which is a big jump. And I'm not suggesting we should do it all at once, but that's kind of
Right.
the main thing the biggest lever that you have to improve overall profitability is getting your gross profit from 40% to 55%. So you mentioned some things that I was going to ask about, which is what is your offer right now? You mentioned some deals and promotions. What's your
So I
current for a homeowner? What do you say that you offer?
so right now what we're offering is any project over $3,000, we're offering 15% off. And if they refer someone that obviously books us, we give them a 50% or we give them a $50 gift card. And then we also have a promotion for Emerald Rain Refresh, Woodscapes Rain Refresh, and Loxon, where we can offer that pretty much at a super paint price and help the customer get a better product. And I actually closed a deal on that yesterday. So that seems to be helping out a little bit, especially on the exteriors, just because those get a little bit costly with the different materials. So just using the different materials and offering a better material for the lower material price is almost a no-brainer for most homeowners.
Right. Now, one other question here is your markup on labor and materials. I looked in your software. It looks like you have 100% markup on labor and materials,
Correct.
but then you have some of these discounts which are cutting into that.
Knocking everything back down. Exactly.
And so that's probably why we have a 40% gross profit, is because not everything goes perfect, but also we're adding in some discounts. So then landing at 40% gross profit. So,
And that
okay.
was one thing I spoke to my estimator about because a lot of that, and I had to get on him about that because I'm like, all right, if we're offering a promotion right now, I said we can't offer a promotion and give them a discount because you're trying to get it to a percentage where you feel like you're going to be able to close and get a what's it called, commission. So I'm just like, hey, keep it where it's at because he likes to offer super paint, but I told him I wanted to be the duration offer. That's our product that I want to go with. But I
Mhm.
let him continue to do that. It's a matter of, hey, we have these promotions for a reason. That way we can get into these neighborhoods, offer the better product for a much better pricing for the time being. I said we only have this month here alone to do that. So help us get to that point to where, hey, we're in these neighborhoods, we're offering the better product at a better price and all of the other benefits that come along with our company. So
That makes sense. Is the salesperson, are they compensated off of just what they close? Is it based off of the dollar
he's
amount
salary
revenue that they close, or they have a salary and commission, or how's that work?
commission, correct. Salary and commission.
Is the commission tied to gross profit at all, or is it just tied to how much they dollars amount that top line they close?
Gross profit.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is
gross
tied to
profit.
it's tied to gross profit. So they get a certain percent commission if they hit a certain gross profit.
Correct.
Cool. So what I would say to improve, the biggest thing that we'll probably need to do is to raise prices. You could get some efficiencies with making the crews more efficient or changing that compensation. But usually in this case, with your gross profit at 40%, we will have to raise the prices. Now, the way to do this without just plummeting the close rate is that you have two things you can look at changing. Is one is the sales motion, what your salesperson is doing and saying during the sales process to get the person to sign the dotted line. That's the sales motion. And then the second thing is the offer. So what are you offering that differentiates yourself, your company from other painting businesses in your
Competitors.
area? Yeah.
No,
So
for sure. And I know
those
one thing with my estimator, we've been talking about, who is it? Sure. We were talking about, so just like you said, when it comes to promotions and stuff like that, he was trying to figure out because he's not understanding what I was trying to get him to understand when it came to, hey, because we already have the template set up for for the promotion. So literally you have to just go in there and plug and play like we do with anything else. But he can't get over in his mind that, hey, we're already offering the product at a lower price.
Mhm,
I said, we're doubling the price when we sell it to the customer. I said,
mhm,
so if you think about when they call that line and hey, we said we're going to sell them a rain refresh at a super paint price, they ask, hey, well, how much is super paint? How much is rain refresh? They're like, well, hey, I'm getting it at this price. If they do ask the price, it's still going to be lower than what they would typically get it at. So, and that's what I explained to him this morning. I feel like I don't know if I didn't do a good job at explaining it
mhm.
or what the case is, but I feel like that's where I'm at right now
Yeah.
today.
So what I would say, a couple quick questions, and you're probably doing this, but I just want to check the boxes for the sales process. He's presenting in home and he's trying to close on
That's
the spot, right?
so that's exactly what I knew it would come back to me as soon as you said that. So that's one thing that we just started that because one he I trained that's how I trained him in the first place, but he
Mhm,
didn't have once I finally got him a computer. I say within the last so I trained him for about 2 months just
mhm,
for shadow me, and then I got him his own computer, and I was like I didn't mind him starting at home just for the simple fact that I didn't have a hotspot for him, and he didn't have a phone to be able to have a hotspot. He doesn't
mhm,
feel comfortable asking for a Wi-Fi or anything like that. But no, and I told him, I said, hey, I got him a hotspot this month because he's coming up on his year. His year will be on the 16th. So I told him, I said, you're at your year mark. I said, there's no reason for you to not to be able to do at least the small ones. I said, pre-position yourself before you go in there. Already have your template and everything set up. So all you have to do is, if anything, step outside, connect to your hotspot, change your numbers, add some notes, take away some notes or whatever the case is, and then go back inside and present. I said,
mhm.
that's the easiest way. I said, one, you don't have to worry about taking it back home. Two, you can sit there and any kind of rebuttal that they may have, you could have something back for them. Let them know if they and don't. I said, don't ask anything about price. I said, if anything, ask them what they were looking for because some people don't know what they're looking for, and that's why I tell them in the process of him selling super paint, hey, make sure that you're covering the upgrades duration in Emerald. If that's especially if they have dogs or have younger kids or anything like that. So that's always a good selling point when it comes to those different products. I said not everybody just wants the cheapest product or the cheapest price. People
Mhm.
want quality and a lot of people don't know about paint. They just know that it's color that they're putting on the wall. So I said the education that you actually provide to them, that's going to help them feel more comfortable as well.
Yeah.
So just different things. I told him, I said, I'm gonna give him a little bit of time, but I'm also growing my Charleston territory. So that's one thing for me too. So with the time that I have, what I have been doing in my time, I just finally got my door hangers. I got 500 of those here, and he's got 500 coming down there to the Buford area. And I told him, I said, hey, get out here. I said, because it's been slow. I said, we have the ads and everything running, but I said, we still have to do grassroots type deals too. I said, I'm not too keen on mailers just for the simple fact that I don't look at them. I look at door hangers further than I do mail, because when I see a junk mail, I literally toss it in the trash. So, but
it sounds like you've addressed the sales process. You're presenting in home. You're trying to close on the spot. So that's great. I'm going to circle back to that. The next, because that's a big lever there, to be able to charge more is having a solid sales process. The second thing is offer. So with a good offer, you can charge more money. Now, from what I've heard so far, a lot of the things that you're offering is referral, 15% off if they close on the spot, and also the better
50% referral. If they do refer somebody and they go with us, they'll get a $50 gift card.
And I know fresh coat painters, like you guys, are fully insured, and you also have a warranty too, right? It's like a
2-year warranty, licensed and bonded.
Are there any other aspects to the offer that you have outside of what we talked about?
No.
So the offer is a very standard offer for a professional painting companies. Now, so you're going to be differentiated from Chuck on the truck, who's just doesn't have insurance. They don't use Sherwin-Williams or a good quality product, and they're not masking things off properly, that sort of thing. So you're differentiating yourself from Chuck on the truck. However, and they also don't have a warranty, but you're not really differentiating yourself from other professional painting businesses in your area. So, because most painting businesses, they'll have a 2, 3, 4, 5-year warranty. They'll also be using something like Sherwin-Williams good quality products. They'll be fully licensed and insured, et cetera. So your current offer is very similar to other painting businesses. So unfortunately, when that's the case, then you're down to having to compete on your sales process to build trust. And obviously, if you're not presenting in the home, that's an issue, which you're already correcting. So one way you can, in addition to getting the salesperson on track with presenting in the home and actually doing the sales process you taught him, the other thing you can do is making your offer better. And so what I would recommend doing is something called a on-time, on-budget guarantee. So this is a risk reversal guarantee. So it's different than a warranty. It's a guarantee. You're basically saying, hey, the proposal that we're providing to you, this is an accurate proposal. It's not an estimate. The price that you see here is the price that you're going to pay for the scope of this project. So we guarantee it's going to be on budget. In addition to that, we also guarantee it's going to be on time. We slated this project to be 2 weeks. It's not going to take longer than 2 weeks. If we take longer than 2 weeks, or if we ask for more money but it's the same scope of the project, you're going to get a 10% refund, because we have an on-time, on-budget guarantee. If we can't meet the on-time, on-budget guarantee, you get a 10% refund of the job price. And so you can have conditions in this. It's a conditional guarantee. You can put this in the proposal. You can say if you have bad weather, obviously you can't paint outside in the rain. If you don't have access to the property, obviously you can't paint. They need to provide access to the property. Also, if there's other contractors working that are impacting your ability to finish the project, that's not on you. So you can put some conditions in there, but having that on-time, on-budget guarantee can be very compelling for a homeowner who's had bad experiences in the past, where they've hired somebody and they ended up saying one price, but then asking for money later on, or they took a lot longer with the project than what was anticipated, because they started the project, then they left, then they came back, then they left. And so that might be a more compelling offer. And it's a lower risk to you too, because you can control, I guess you put those conditions in there. Also, you can say, hey, that the project should only take a week, but you can add another week for buffer and say it's not going to take longer than 2 weeks. So you can add that buffer in there. So just in case something does go wrong, you have some time to fix it. So it's relatively low risk to you, but it can be perceived as a very high value to your customer, because they might have had bad experiences in the past, and they value getting in and out of their home in a timely manner, and they might be willing to pay more money for that. So trying out an on-time, on-budget guarantee could improve your offer and also differentiate yourself from other painting businesses in your area, because they're probably not offering something like this. And then that would allow you to start testing increasing prices, do a 5% increase, and see does that substantially decrease your close rate with that new offer. What's your close rate right now?
Mine's is 47%. My estimated is around 23%.
And that's probably because he's not presenting in the home. He's just sending emails afterwards, right? So if we can get him to,
and his follow-up is weak as well. I told him, I said, I was like that as well. But I told him, I said, that's one of my weaknesses also. But I told him, I said, that's one thing we have to do, follow up. I said, especially with him not presenting at home. I said, as soon as you send that proposal, you need to go ahead and give them a call. I said, if they don't answer, leave them a voicemail. If their voicemail box is full, send them a text message. I said, but get in contact with them somehow, letting them know that you've sent the proposal, ask them if they have any questions, if they answer the phone, anything else like that. And I said, and then the next day, follow up again. Because if they didn't get any, if maybe they didn't have servers or something like that, call them again the next day. Then after that, by that time, generally they've either reached back out or we've seen that they've opened the proposal. But I tell them 2, 3 days later, give them a call, shoot them a text or something, shoot them an email. I said, but we got to do the follow up. I said, that's where a lot of our capture dollars are going down the drain. I said, we have millions of dollars bid out here. We're riding around in the heat, doing different things for measurement and stuff. Hey, we all want to get paid. So,
yes. So I would definitely stay on him with the sales process. Do you have any kind of recording advice that he wears to see what he's saying during those estimates? They have some AI voice tracker stuff that will transcribe his calls.
Oh, so through PMP, I do. I listen
Okay.
to those. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's great. I would do daily reviews with him to get him back on track. Do you have a video sales letter?
No.
This might be good if you change your offer to something like the on time on budget guarantee, but also all the other things that you're offering. Having like video sales letter can take some of the burden off of him to say all the things. If you just record it one time, have it professionally recorded where you're explaining the on time on budget guarantee, the warranty, everything else that you offer working with Fresh Coat Painters, then you can have that sent out before the estimate and then also have him say, hey, while I do the calculations, please watch this video. It goes through our full process and what you get when you work with us. So to ensure that they watch it so that they get the full spill. And so that's a good way, an easy way to make it easier on your salesperson to follow the script, because all they got to do is provide the video, and the video does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of saying the offer and all that good stuff. So it can do a lot of the selling for you, but that might be a good addition as well to help improve that sales process. So those would be the two things I would look at. One, differentiating your offer by adding that on time on budget guarantee. And then number two, making sure your salesperson is presenting in home and trying to close on the spot, and maybe add a VSL in to help do some of the sales for them with the new offer. And then from there, I would start, hopefully the close rate goes above, hopefully we can get him to your level where he's closing 45% or so.
Right.
And then once he's over 40%, I would start increasing the prices. So whenever the price goes over 40%, whenever the close rate goes over 40%, increase the prices, 2, 3, 4, 5%, and then evaluate and monitor that sales or that close rate. And whenever the close rate goes above 40%, increase the prices again, and try to keep your close rate around 35%. And that way you're basically using your close rate as a signal for when to raise prices.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. Was this helpful?
Yeah, no, definitely helpful. I think I should monitor it for maybe a month or two, or
a month would be good. Give it some time to once it goes above. Some people use 35%, some people use 40%, but once it goes above that threshold of whatever you're comfortable with, and it stays above that amount, that percentage, then I would to increase prices. With the offer change and this improving the sales process, he should be able to get up to your level, and then from there start inching up those prices, and those price increases are great because they go right to the bottom line, because you keep everything else the same, how much you're paying the subs, how much you're paying everybody else, but that just goes directly to the bottom line. So if you raise the prices by 5%, that'll bring your gross profit from 40% to 45%, which is huge. All right.
Sounds good to me. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.